Welcome to SelfCare Sound Mind, where I discuss everything mental health and self-care related. My name is Kiera Moore, and I'm your host. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1, where my special guest is Lavante Dorsey of Lavante Dorsey and Associates. Tonight, we're discussing back to school. Stay tuned for a very special announcement as well. You don't want to miss it. Welcome, everyone, to Season 2, Episode 1. I am super excited to be back to you with Self-Care Sound Mind. I am so excited. I want to just make sure, yes, we are live. We are up and running. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, please share and let everyone know that we are back. So, Self-Care Sound Mind podcast and live series. This is where I discuss all things mental health and self-care related, and my goal is to uplift, encourage, and empower. And just about every 2 weeks, I'll have a special guest with me to talk about various mental health topics, to illuminate self-care and encourage a sound mind. So today is a wonderful episode. We're going to talk about back to school, what that means for your children, what that means for you. We're going to give you tips, tools, and techniques of things to help the children and parents and teachers transition into this school year. Just about everyone has started now, so this is right on time. But if you follow me on social media, you know that I have a special announcement, and I'm so excited. For those of you who know me, I love to talk self-care, and I love to put on self-care related events. However, I also know that many of us have lots of things to do. We have a lot of options now for various events now that the world is seemingly back open. But I want to extend an invitation to maybe about 20 or 30 women out there who are really serious about their self-care. So stay tuned for my special announcement. I'm going to share it with you now. Sis, so you're starting to take care of yourself and implementing self-care? I'm so proud of you. What a great first step. Let's kick it up a notch and elevate your self-care. Join my circle. The Self-Care Sound Mind Circle is a paid membership that includes exclusive inspirational content, events, coaching, goal setting, and of course, self-care. Prioritize and invest in your self-care. You won't regret it. When working with me, you can expect to be challenged, encouraged, and empowered. Go to KieraTimor.com and sign up and subscribe to my circle today. So that's it. That is the announcement. Self-Care Sound Mind Circle. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Why? Well, the reason why is because, I put a lot of time and attention and intentionality in these events that I plan. And I know that there are a group of women out there who really need these opportunities of self-care and encouragement. But I also know if there isn't an investment involved, the accountability is not always there. So my goal is to hold you accountable while also uplifting and encouraging and empowering you with this paid membership to join my circle. Again, you can go to KieraTimor.com. There's more information on there. There are 2 tiers. The first tier includes the content, it includes the events. All of this will only be shared with those in the circle. And then the VIP membership, that includes a monthly goal setting meeting. Now, why did I put this in there? It's because I have a lot of family and friends who always want to come to me, and I have to let them know that ethically I can't give you therapy, but I can help you with goal setting and I can help you with coaching. So if you want to be a part of this, The VIP membership is limited. So go to kiaratimore.com. And all you need to do today is subscribe. And then I will reach out to you with all of the information. So subscribe today. So that is my big announcement. I will share more information about that later, but I don't want to take too much time because I want to give my special guest more than enough time to share with you. So without further ado, I am going to introduce Miss Lavante Dorsey, Mrs. Lavante Dorsey of Lavante Dorsey and Associates, and she is going to help us talk back to school.
Hey, hey, everybody.
How are you?
I am doing pretty good. And before we start, congratulations. That is an awesome announcement. The people need the self-care now. And that is going to be a good membership to be a part of.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. I am so excited about it. And I appreciate the congratulations.
Yes, yes.
So I know that you are well known in the Delaware area.
I'm pretty regular.
Very, very well known in the Delaware area. But introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
And how they can follow you.
You said, and who?
How they can follow you.
Oh, okay. So my name is newly the Mrs. Lavante and Dorsey Yates, and I am the owner of Lavante and Dorsey and Associates, LLC. We are a mental health therapeutic practice located in Delaware, currently seeing clients virtually. We have 8 other amazing African-American women therapists, and our goal is simply to help the community, one, to recognize the importance of mental health assistance, as well as giving that one-on-one therapy that will really make a difference. So go ahead and follow myself on Instagram at Lavante Dorsey or on Facebook at Lavante Dorsey. And I'm just super excited to be here today.
Thank you. I am so glad that you are here today. And I'm going to put this disclaimer out there that we might have an extra visitor, my son, because I already hear him. So we might have an extra special guest pretty soon. So if you see me step away, I need to go be a mom because clearly that's my first priority. But today we are discussing back to school. And it's quite interesting that this is the first topic of season 2, because one of the challenges of the school year is something that I just experienced, which is COVID-19. And so many of you know that I work full time in a middle school, and oh my gosh, there's so many challenges that students had before the pandemic, and that they are returning to, or new challenges from the pandemic, right? And so within the first week of school, I think I can't even count how many students came in with anxiety about being back in the in-person setting again, right? The social anxiety, like, a lot of my clients who have social anxiety or don't really like large crowds, they flourished during the pandemic. So coming back into this social setting has been really challenging for a lot of students. And also there's still the fear of contracting COVID-19, which I have no idea how I did the second week of school. I don't believe I got it from school, but it's one of those things where if you are around someone, you still may have to quarantine if you're not positive. So there's so much uncertainty. So I'm going to take a second to go check on my son, but I want you to share just like some ways that we can help children begin to manage their anxiety, and maybe just like start with like some coping skills or whatever you want to share. And you may have to reiterate when I come back, but go ahead and tell them how to manage anxiety. I'll be right back.
Gotcha. So no, a lot of what the pre-work that I've done so far in helping our teachers, our administrators prepare for this transition back is to host meetings with parents as a whole so we can kind of regroup and come back together. COVID-19 has kicked everybody's butt, and we're all in what we call in the therapy world an adjustment period. We have had grief and loss, we've had higher anxiety, like she said, higher stressors. There's just been those regular life events happening on top of this COVID-19, and it has rocked us to the core. So what we've been doing is meeting with schools and parents as a whole to say, okay, this is what we went through. I know you guys were all home cozy. Your kids, while they were home, they were like warming up to you. They kind of build up that attachment again. And now as they're leaving and going back into the building, of course, some anxiety is going to happen. First off, they would rather be home chilling with you. Second off, they would just rather be home, even though I know they was not at all times giving their all on Zoom school. So we really did need them back into the building. Yeah. But this transition is pretty big. So with any time, and think about when you were in school. I remember going from middle school to high school. So I went to George Reed Middle School in Newcastle, and then I went to William Penn High School. And William Penn is like big in itself. You're a freshman, you're nervous. How am I going to fit into these new social environments? Am I going to succeed in classes? What's this coursework going to look like? So at each grade level, our students are thinking that way. So that's increasing their anxiety. So us as parents have to work to give them that comfort, understand these worries, let them know that even though they're terrified, they can do brave things while they're afraid. And it's about affirming and reassuring our students as they go in. That's part one.
So let me pause right there and thank you for that, because I did hear everything you said. he accidentally muted his YouTube, so I had to go and fix that. But there is so much power in affirming children. I really don't think that we as adults and as parents really understand that power. And I don't think we really relate it even to our own experience, because all of us want positive affirmations. All of us want to feel affirmed, valued, reassured verbally, right? Like some of us might put more weight to it than others, but we like to hear that we're doing a good job.
Yep.
If you're not verbally appreciated, you start to feel like, well, what am I doing this for? So if we feel like that as adults, how much more does a child who is completely unsure about everything in the world, no matter how much they try to put on a facade that they know everything, right?
Yeah.
They're completely unsure about the world that they're living in. These words of affirmation, this just positively, verbally uplifting your child and encouraging them can help so much.
Yes.
Like the power that has it's astonishing.
Yeah, and I like how you brought in the fact that us as adults, we don't do it enough. But remember, our children take cues from us. So if that's something that I do as a daily ritual, of course, it's going to kind of push into what my child sees and what they mimic as well. But we have to do better as adults as being those leaders, being those mentors to our children, so they see this as a technique to utilize that could help them with their worries and their anxieties.
Exactly. I am so glad that you mentioned that. So we're affirming, right? You mentioned also how everything else in life also is piled onto, so all the normal stuff, right? And I have the same spiel too, especially working in a middle school. I'm like, when students are coming in, everything is different. Their bodies are changing. Their friends are changing. School looks different. They're coming from elementary school where they had one teacher all day long to now they have 7 different teachers, lockers and switching classes. All of that is different. Yeah. So you add all of those things. Their hormone levels are changing. Their emotions are all out of whack. So you you take that and you add in a global pandemic for like 18, 19 months,
Mhm.
on top of people who might have experienced grief, right? Loss from COVID. So
Yeah.
all of these things, and unfortunately there's a lot of loss within the school system as well, teachers and
Yeah.
staff as well. So all of this is enough to make anybody anxious.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, what I've definitely been honing in on when I go to do the talks in the schools, again, the foundation starts with the parent. So, one, parents, because we love to say, well, back in my day, or this is how it is. So, first, I need parents to recognize, don't even use that line in this situation because we haven't had any experience like this to know what this transition is like. Yes, we've had those transitions from school to school, but like you said, we don't know what it's been like coming out of a pandemic, losing instructional time, possibly being behind in your educational standards, which is already putting pressure on the teacher in the classroom because now they have to meet district standards and try to catch the students up. So you don't know how that's presenting because teachers are humans, they have families, they have children. So we don't know how that's coming across as a vibe within the classroom. And then we have our parents that might be a little on edge. And of course, when typically our adults, if we're not in charge of our emotions, who do we take it out on? Who are we short with? Who are we more frustrated with? So again, just like that analogy that I always use about putting your mask on first, just like you do on an airplane, if it was to, God forbid, go down. You parents, we have to check ourselves first. If you need to go to therapy, go ahead and go. You got to do reflections and see what's happening in you. So that way you can better tune in and check with your child. Because at this time, is when you need to be recognizing, okay, they're not sleeping as much, or their appetite doesn't seem to be the same. They're complaining about always feeling sick. They're just not that normal kid. They're having anger outbursts. Like, this isn't my normal student that I have. And again, it's not, well, you better get it together. You do better. No, we're not going there. It's okay. I've noticed this change. Let's kind of check in and let's talk with your school counselors. Let's talk with the mental health resources out there, because I think this is a bigger issue, and we want to make sure we can help you and equip you with the tools to get that under control.
Absolutely. Everything that you just said is literally what I experienced the past week or two of school. And, we've had students report that they're throwing up before coming into school. They're so anxious, not sleeping at night, not eating, like haven't eaten in days. And you would be surprised. Well, you wouldn't be surprised, but how much just basic, first of all, validation, like telling the student, like, listen, when we had to come back to school as staff, we were anxious too. Like, these are things that we did to help us, right? Also, I do think it helps understanding, like what the school is doing to keep everyone safe and what those efforts are, but just validating their experience. And you're right, as parents, it's easy to say what they should, could, and would do, right? But you weren't in school during a global pandemic. You don't know what that feels like. You're not, you know what I mean? You're not in that position. And so, and last year, I believe teachers, students did the best they could. But this year, it's like having 2 freshman classes. It's having 2 sets of 6th graders, right? Because the students who came in as 7th graders never stepped foot in the building.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? 9th graders or 10th graders, they didn't go in the building. They have no idea where anything is either. So it's really a lot going on. So let's talk like practical tools that you share with people who have anxiety. One of the things that I've been doing with a lot of my anxious students is teaching them basic de-escalation techniques. So like deep breathing, like redirecting their thought processes. I'm like, if you're counting, all the blue things you see in the room, you can't think about how anxious you are in that moment. Like if you are taking deep breaths and you're lowering your heart rate, you'll be able to make a logical decision. You'll be able to just ask a question and not, want to vomit because you're so anxious, so all of these things, as all these things come up, I'm just like, let's just focus on calming down, right?
Yeah.
Like, before you say anything, do anything, let's just get your body together. Then
Yeah.
we'll work on the mind. So what
Yeah.
are some other tips and tools that you may have?
So I think where we always start is it's very important to recognize what is my trigger. What is it that is happening that I know is going to heighten my anxiety? So I'll use a slight different reference. So at times I have pretty high anxiety. And I remember the first time I had anxiety, I was like, what's happening? Why can't I catch my breath? Why do I feel like this? Because it's not a good feeling and you just want to get back to calm. So being able to recognize, okay, I know when I kind of have too much going on and I can't get my mind, straight, that's going to trigger my anxiety. For some students, it's the fear of contracting COVID. It's the fear of seeing somebody with their mask down in school, or wondering, okay, right now, I was out of school. This test is in front of me. I have test anxiety. I'm wondering if my parents going to yell at me because this grade wasn't good. It's a lot of pressure. So first, let's work on showing our children, you know what, when this happened or when this was said or on this day, you seemed a little more heightened in your emotions and your anxiety. Let's put that down as a trigger. Let's do a whole journal focused on what are my triggers, because that way, when we're better aware of those, we can begin to come up with, I call it a coping skills toolkit. And so my master's level intern started today. And the importance of self-care is something I want to make sure they understand before fully coming into the field. So you do something as simple as, we have a sandwich bag. You get little note cards. You're going to write down your technique, count all the blue in the room, do some deep breathing techniques. I watched, I don't know if you guys saw it, Naomi, the tennis player, Naomi Osaka, she does tapping on her face. Oh, I love doing it. Tapping. So having a sandwich bag filled with these coping skills that your student can carry around with them. Because what happens when we get into these pressure moments? All those coping skills go out the window. We go into panic. We express it as anger. But if I have my toolkit with me, it serves as a little reminder. Okay, let me pull this out. Maybe I'll pop my headphones in. I'll listen to music. Maybe I'll ask, can I just go for a brief walk just so I can calm down? And again, our teachers are going through stuff as well. And I love how Delaware is now being more focused on mental health. Yes. So just helping teachers to understand this student isn't just trying to escape work. They really need to bring their anxiety and levels down. So and I'm always an advocate for popping on a YouTube video, finding one that says decrease anxiety, and just going through a guided meditation, as well as just Googling. There's tons of resources on the internet, 100 coping skills, and figuring out which one works. And here's the key. A lot of people, just like, they'd be like, well, this medicine, that didn't work for my cold today. Okay, but if you keep using something and get equipped with it, it can better kick in. So don't just say, this coping skill, it doesn't work for me. You got to get used to it. Let's try it a couple times. So
yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the biggest hurdles, right? We want quick fixes, right? But if you didn't have anxiety before the pandemic and now you do, that built up over the past 18, 19 months, right? So you can't expect, a coping skill or just one thing to help you in 18, 19 minutes, right? This is something that we have to rehearse. This is something that we have to make sure that we are making part of our lifestyle. And we got to do it when we're not in that panic mode, so that it becomes a habit, right? It becomes part of our everyday, so that when those anxious times do come, we already know, okay, I know what to do, right? I've been preparing for this moment. I know what to go to. I got my bag right here. Let me start reading things off, right? And so even in using these coping skills and these techniques, when you experience that slight moment of like, oh, I think that worked a little bit. Like, oh, I think I feel a little bit calmer. You know what I mean? Like, I think I can keep going. I think I can try. Like, those are the moments when you're like, okay, I can do this, right? And so you mentioned such a good point of, advocating for the students and with Delaware becoming more and more on board with mental health. And that brings in the connection that we have to have with the students, with the parents, and with the administration and, teachers administration. And I will say that my school that I work at is very, they are definitely on board with the work that we do, as mental health workers and with the guidance staff. And we did do a lot of meditation and mindfulness activities. And we do a lot of that. And we actually have Delaware actually is implementing this whole child model, right? The multi
MTSS.
Right. And so what I love about that is what used to kind of just be like a study hall is now focused on these various social skills, emotional skills, things like that. But I think that we really help the child when we can tie it all in as their village, right? As their support, as their teachers, as their parents. So what can we share with parents and with teachers to help them while they're dealing with their own stuff, but also to help motivate a child who's experiencing anxiety? Because there's a very big difference, and I want to make sure people understand this. There's a very big difference between a child who just doesn't care, who doesn't like school, who is just like school avoidant, and a child who has other things going on that present as school avoidant, not caring, and all that kind of stuff, right? And honestly, if we're really being honest, I don't think there really is a kid that doesn't care, right? But there are those kids who just present like, no, I really don't care. And then there are kids who are having issues and it just looks like they don't care, right? Yeah. So how do we help teachers? How do we help parents? How do we encourage them to work with a student who has anxiety or depression or lack of motivation?
Yeah. And so I want to tackle two things there. And one of them is probably going to be an ouch moment for people, but ouch it away because sometimes we got to reflect and accept the ouch. But I want to make sure, because you mentioned how we have the multi-tiered system approach now in schools, which is MTSS. And I know a lot of parents may not understand what that is. And so that's Delaware's way of saying, and other states across the nation of saying, we recognize the importance of during the school day, equipping children with those social skills, the social emotional learning. So know that every day within your child's school, they're working on a curriculum, some call it Sweet 360, second step, that's embedded in the school day to make sure we're equipping the students with these skills. So I know a lot of parents may not have known that that's actually what's happening, and it's a good resource for our kids. And in the high school, it looks like those restorative circles or restorative practices where they break down and just instead of focusing on algebra, which I hated while we was in school, or biology, we're going to talk about the social component of being a human, how to engage with others, and how to put your emotions in check. So in case you didn't know there, my Delaware family, that is happening within your
students. They still got to take algebra, but they got to do this.
They still got to take it, but I'm just here. So then when you said it, what should we do? Again, and I have been saying over and over that village concept that we did used to have back in the day. Now that is something we can reference back to and bring back, because right now we need community, we need family. And a lot of times the issue is that, and just as Miss Stephanie Proctor said, we got to normalize it, the anxiety for our kids, adults, and parents. And that again starts with the parent being able to say, you know what, son, you know what, daughter, I usually try to hide this from you, but I also deal with depression or with stress and anxiety, because if my mom goes through it and I see her managing it, it'll give me a little more strength to say, okay, I can do this too. And then here's the ouch moment. Sometimes we have to recognize that something that is happening in the home, whether it be some negative behaviors, whether a parent is being out of order and just not calling it to what it is, if I'm seeing my parents fighting every night, if I'm dealing with gun violence, everything around me, that's going to trigger these things for me. And I know sometimes we live in environments where this happens and we can't really control it, but we want to make sure we check in with our child and allow them that space to express that I don't feel safe, because safety is one of our basic hierarchy of needs that we need addressed and we need to feel. And then when it comes to parental relationships, now this is the ouch moment because I'm gonna just call it out. If you know that you and your boo thing argue every night, fight, punch each other, bust up aside the head, and then you expect your student to go to school and not be depressed, not have anxiety, not feel these things. I'm calling it what it is today.
All thing.
You gotta have a check yourself moment for yourself, because as the parent, it is your duty. You were given that child to rear up the best way that you can. And you're not gonna be perfect or get everything right, but you have to have that ability to reflect and acknowledge that I need to do something different and better to help my student. So we need to check ourselves as adults and parents,
Absolutely.
as a village, so that we can better serve our babies.
And if you want, as a moment of reflection, I always try to remember, if I'm having a hard time with this, what is my child, what are other children, how are they experiencing that? Because if I, who have more control in the situation as an adult, am having a hard time handling it, what are they feeling? They have less control. They have no say in what's happening. Mm-hmm. How are they experiencing that as well? And so we have to give space for them to not be okay. And just because you say what goes on in my house, stay in my house, don't mean what's going on in your house ain't affecting them when they go to school. Because, honey, I am one of the ones who have to hear about it, about all the things that transpire and how it is causing them to not be able to focus. A lot of these poor children, these poor babies, they are carrying things that are way too heavy for them.
Yeah. And I think too, at times as parents, and sorry to cut you off, we think, well, the door was closed, or we think they ain't paying that no mind. They've been on their game, but that's not true. It's not.
Listen, my son is 3, and it's so funny because he is already like, before it was like the repetition stage, right? Where you say something and then they repeat it. But now it's like, he's just answering. Like if we say something, he's like, no, I don't think first of all, this wasn't even, somebody ask you what no, I don't want to do that. No one asked you. Like this wasn't like, why? We didn't recognize he was in the conversation, but he let us know he was in the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. So if a 3-year-old is aware, right? And just because you're not aware, don't mean they're not aware. You might not be aware of them, but they're aware of what's going on with you. And they may not know how to approach you about it. So I definitely think we have to go back and look at our relationships between parent and child, right? Mm-hmm. And we have to relearn that it's not just for them to stay in the child's place, because sometimes that child needs to be able to express what they're feeling. They may not get their way, but they should be able to tell you what they're feeling, because what they're feeling is affecting their ability to learn. It's affecting their ability to function in other areas of their life. And if they cannot function because they can't be honest with you as a parent to start, that is a problem.
Yeah. And I like where you said being honest with you as a parent. So nothing breaks my heart more than us as a community, just our thoughts towards getting mental health assistance. And it goes with that analogy of, if I break my arm, I'm going to go to the doctor. If I'm feeling really stuffy and not feeling good, I'm going to go to the doctor. But if my mind, the main thing that helps me go throughout this life, is a little bit off, oh no, hush, hush, don't tell nobody. They're going to think you crazy. They're going to try No. And we have to begin to transform that thought, because I get calls and text messages all the times from teens who are saying, I need help. but I can't tell my parent because they're not going to accept the fact that I need it. They're not going to agree with the fact, they're going to be against it. And that is completely outrageous. And I tell my teens all the time, you're at the age where you can consent for yourself. There are services within school that you can access. But again, it goes back to us as the adults. We have to do better. We have to say, you're feeling a ways and not take it as a personal parental failure or anything. What is wrong with my child? No, your child is brave. They're being vulnerable and saying, hey, can I get a little assistance here? And we acknowledge them and help them. And I know there are some parents too, where you have gone the extra mile. You have connected them to resources and you're just not seeing that change that you really want to see with them. And to you, I say, keep pushing. This doesn't always have the exact answers and you can't get stuck at I don't know, but keep connecting them, keep encouraging them, keep loving on them, because some of the mental health issues in our students are more challenging than others. I know you get frustrated as a parent, but get your own outlet and relief and your own coping therapy to help you push through it.
Absolutely. And this is a perfect segue. So the last two things that I want us to talk about, I do want to mention that September is Suicide Awareness Month, right? And I also want to talk self-care in a moment. But let's talk about suicide awareness and how to, because the unfortunate truth is that some of these anxieties and depression, the symptoms of depression that our students are facing right now are going to go untreated, right? We're going to miss some signs, or there's going to be some inaction. And an unfortunate outcome in these cases, some students only see suicide as an outlet, right? They see suicide as the only answer because of, everything that they're facing. So how do we encourage, how can you encourage a parent to prevent something like this from happening by being able to know some signs, or what can they do, things of that nature? Can you share some of that?
And again, it's really focused on that relationship you have with your student, recognizing if you notice like, okay, you seem a little different than usual. Again, maybe they're sleeping more, they're isolated, they don't enjoy doing those sports that they usually would do. If they're usually really engaged on social media and they've kind of pulled back from that, you can look at their facial expressions. You'll feel it in your gut, something's a little different. And then a lot of times we have those kids who internalize. So that's really having that relationship to kind of pull it out of them, making sure we're having daily conversations. And I tell parents all the time, past the, how was your day? Good. What'd you learn? Stuff. No, really dig deep and ask open. Tell me what you had fun learning today. Tell me how you felt today. Did anything stress you out? Did anything make you, or tell me what made you angry or upset today? Really asking those specific questions. And when I'm presenting with parents, I have them ask this next question out loud, because a lot of times people have just trouble saying it. Have you had thoughts of harming yourself? Practice saying that. Have you had thoughts of dying by suicide? Because it's not committing suicide anymore. It's death by suicide. Have you had thoughts of killing yourself? Be able to say that to your child, not thinking that's going to put an idea in their head, because no study or research shows that that's what happens. But instead, it's the ability to communicate with that on like that topic with them. And then if they do say, well, yes, at least now I have the knowledge to get them the help, because I think in the last couple weeks, I have seen people's suicide letters on social media, and then the next thing we know, they're gone. Or if you keep, and I remember there was someone in my life where they kept saying, I just need therapy, I just need help. And you kind of at times brush it off, but that is their way of saying, I'm not okay. And to just take that extra step and ask that extra question to see, well, how can I help you? And a lot of times if your student says, well, I'm going to kill myself, don't take it lightly. Don't get mad or anything. Connect them to the resources, because better safe to do all you can than to do nothing at all, and then you lose your child.
Absolutely. Even if you think they're doing it for attention, right?
Yep.
Like that's a
Mhm.
big one. Oh, they just want attention. Well, you know what? Let them get the attention of a mental health professional. How about that?
Mhm.
If it's just for attention, let them go to someone who's going to talk to them, who's going to give them attention, who's going to help them. And if they were talking out of anger, if they didn't mean it, excuse me, at least we know for sure,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah, Miss
so,
Proctor is hitting it on point. She said,
oh,
"Come from a place of curiosity and not
that's my
judgment."
girl. That's my girl right there. She's a expert in child psychology.
Oh, yes.
um, she's my go-to for anything child related. But
Yeah.
yeah, I understand the importance of it, and I know that as a therapist, we're kind of looked at like, well, you have to take it serious. It's your job.
Mhm.
Why would you not want to take serious? Is how I would counter that, right? To
Mhm.
prevent something catastrophic from happening to your child is I don't think there are any lengths that we wouldn't go through,
Yeah.
and sometimes they really do believe that the best thing for them is to die.
Mhm.
I have one who really wanted to die. And two
Mhm.
years later, we're talking about college. We're talking about, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just completely different person, right? But someone had to sit there in the trenches.
Yeah.
Someone had to work through the dark places so that that person can get to the point where they can see themselves in the future,
Mhm.
because they saw themselves dead years ago.
Yeah.
But someone has to say, whether or not it's for attention, whether or not it's, acting out, who cares? Get them the help,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I did put the crisis text line.
Mhm.
This is something that I share with my students and teens all the time, because I know 9 times out of 10 they're not going to make a call, but they will text.
They will text now.
They will text. So
Mhm.
even if you're not on the verge of self harm or dying by suicide, you can at least talk it out by texting home, HOME, to 741-741, and that will connect you with a crisis worker who will talk you through whatever you are experiencing in that moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Woo! So I know that was a little heavy. So
No, it's not heavy. That's light. That's the issue. A lot of people think that is light. We are talking life and joy and pushing forward.
life. I like the way you just reframed that for me. Thank you. Because suicide shouldn't feel like a shameful thing to talk about. We
Mhm.
should be speaking life. Thank you. Get me in check, okay? We should be speaking life, and that's what we are doing. We are having these conversations to save lives, and there should be
Absolutely.
no shame in doing so. Get me
Absolutely.
in check all the way, okay?
You my sis. You my sis.
So I do want to talk self-care for parents, for students, for teachers, right? For
Yeah.
educational staff. And so one of the I talk to my students about taking care of themselves, right? Of course, mind, body, and spirit. It don't matter how old you are, you got to take care of all of those things. But I do want to give some time to shed some light on the parents and teachers who have had to play multiple roles
Whew.
um, over these last few months. And I know for me, in the district that I work in, we were 100% home from March 13th to about October. And then we were hybrid for about a month. Then we went back to remote. Then we went back into the hybrid model. And all of last school year, we were hybrid, just about. So all of 2021, from after the Christmas break, we were having the rest of the year. And so for the first time, we are 100% back into the building. So I know for me, it was a little bit easier it was a lot easier in the beginning to incorporate self-care, right? Then it became a little bit harder because then I had to change my schedule all around again. And then I feel like it was almost like I got to start from square one to figure out how to fit this self-care in, because we're back to school. We're not as home as often as we were. You know, maybe our children, like you said earlier, our children have developed, comfort of being home and comfort in seeing you as much, and, reconnecting as a family and all that stuff. And then we go back to our busy life. And some of those positive habits that we created, we feel like they're impossible to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are some things that we can do to hold ourselves accountable? And what are some things that we can do to just make sure, just encourage the people to keep self-care going?
Yes. So you said it right there. We are busy people, and that's the issue. We're too busy for our own good, and we need to dial that back just a little bit, right? Now, I know we run multiple roles.
I confess, I'm way too busy.
We have multiple roles. We're trying to accomplish all these goals, boom, boom, boom. But again, you're going to burn out if you don't do that, if you don't take the time for the self-care. So let me jump real quick to our teachers, because I just want to acknowledge and to encourage our parents to please be kind to our teachers. They are mothers, they are fathers, they have a lot going on as well. And they have a passion for teaching. They love your student. Even when your student gives them a run for their money, they still love them. And again, it's that village opportunity that we have right now to say, I'm teaming up with you to help you to best serve my student. Because, and it hit me when it was just last week, one of my good friends is a teacher, and just to see the stress she felt knowing how far behind her students were. And just to wrap her mindset around, and I encouraged her, I said, I feel it, that you're going to get them there. It's going to take time. It's going to take fight, but you're going to have to go back to day one and your inspiration for why you became a teacher, because this is going to be the fighting year that you're going to go through. So we kind of got to go back to the basic of, for parents, why'd you want to have the kids? Because you're going to need to bring back that motivation. For our teachers, why'd you want to become that? And that needs to be our driving force and affirmation every morning when we get up. And I know we have a lot of things we got to do, but you need to make sure that morning part, even if you have to wake up 5 to 10 minutes early, whether you're incorporating your religious beliefs and adding in prayer, whether you're doing a quick workout, yoga stretch, you're listening to a positive motivation tape, do it as a family or do it as your separate individual. But you need to start your morning off doing good. And then we know, us busy creatures, we just go throughout the day. No, get 5-minute pockets in where you pause and you just listen. Myself, you give me a Beyonce song and I'm good to go. I'm feeling rejuvenated. Give yourself little pockets where it's almost like you're stealing away your self-care. So we're going to steal it first, and then we're going to make it a regimen of incorporation into our day. And again, when you do your toolkit, when you figure out what is that thing I absolutely love that rejuvenates and refreshes me, those are the things you want to plan out throughout your day. I love at Charter School in Newcastle. They're right on the water. And at times students can go out. So if you're a person that's energized by sunshine, nice walk, nice weather, you can look at the water. Be a person that takes 5 minutes to just go do that, to refresh. If you're a person that likes to laugh, figure out what channel you can go to for 5 minutes just to get that in your day. It's so important. And when you can, I am a strong advocate for saying, okay, family, my support system, my network, I need you to take these kids for just a day, because I'm going to take care of myself, and I might stay overnight, check you into a nice hotel, pretend you were home alone, and do all that you can. If you can't do that, because we are going through some financial struggles, just say, please watch these kids for me so I can have the house to myself. I can watch my movies. I can do a facial routine. I can pop some popcorn, whatever it is. But we got to incorporate those things you absolutely love to do into your current day life.
You are amazing.
Thank you.
You are amazing. Absolutely love that. You know what? you got me together again, because I was thinking about where my office is well, as you know, if I go downstairs, I'm by water, and I absolutely love water. And then if I go across the street, I'm by more water that I used to go to before and take clients to and have mindful moments with. But I haven't been there in like 3 years. And I'm literally like across the street. And these are 5-minute, 10-minute walks that I can take, if I get a cancellation or something like that. Like, these are things that I can do. And there were times when, because for us sometimes it's harder to take the medicine, right? It's harder for us to take the advice that we give, because we got this self-sacrifice piece, right? And we have to remember that we got to do our work too. So some of the things that I really enjoy doing and I really implemented in my life during the downside of the pandemic, when things started to get back to normal, it was almost like I was so disappointed by that loss that I couldn't make attempts to do it in smaller pockets. It was like, if I couldn't go for the 5-mile walk, I wasn't walking at all. Right? Which no doesn't make any sense. But I was so disappointed by the physical release I got from the 5-mile walk every day that I felt slighted when I couldn't do, you know what I mean? As opposed to just, girl, get out there and walk for 10 minutes and get some sunshine, some vitamin D, get that heart rate up and go sit down, right? But I recognized that it was this sense of loss, right? And I think really when I reflect on it, it wasn't so much the walking itself, it was the control that I felt by being able to balance my work, what I lost in some areas, right? I was able to gain by being home and doing it all, right? So I didn't have the transition periods that helped me before, but I had the ability to go for these long walks that helped me in a different way. So losing that was kind of like, well, what the heck am I going to do now? But I know that was irrational thinking, and I have since made it better. I have since released those irrational thoughts, and I'm now doing better. But, going through this last, week or two of actually having COVID, it was almost like a reminder of all the things that you implemented, all the things that are necessary to take care of yourself. Don't allow yourself to be forced into a resting period again. I was like, I learned my lesson. You ain't got to sit me down no more. I promise. This time around, I'm going to do the things I know to do, because my new mindset is I'm not refilling myself to pour it back out, right? I'm starting full because I need to be full.
Absolutely.
And what I give is because I'm full.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm not going until I'm empty and then finding ways to try to fill up. No. I'm full first. And I can give to you because I'm full. I'm not refilling the emptiness after y'all suck me dry, because y'all ain't know that anymore. We are a new creature again. Okay. I am starting full. So if I don't do what I need to do to feel full, then I might not be able to fulfill all of my responsibilities today. I need to get full first and focus on that first.
Yeah.
And then I'll feel the energy I need. I'll feel the motivation, the inspiration that I need. I don't want to have to deal with what's left over. No. Because if I'm already full, I'm not depleted at the end of the day after I give.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm not coming home depleted every day. Not anymore. It's just not going to happen no more. It's a new me, okay? New year, new me. This is how y'all going to get it this year. I'm coming in full first. And if I'm not full, then we're going to have to rain check some of these other responsibilities.
Yes.
I need to fill myself up first.
I like that.
So,
I like that.
I appreciate you coming here today.
Yay! I had a ball.
Really helped me kick off this season with a bang. You have helped me just really just get into the mindset of why, even for me, what my why is and why we're doing this, spreading mental health awareness. And also, I love to bring in new voices and new perspective because I can talk all day long. And I know some people don't mind listening, but it's always great to collaborate and let other people know that there are people out there willing and waiting not only just to help you, but to help change your entire life. Now, we ain't gonna do it for you, but we're gonna help you change your entire life. And it can all start with the first step at admitting that you need some help and
Yes.
going after and getting the help that you need. And so I appreciate it. Hopefully our parents, students, and education and school staff got something out of this podcast today. Thank you again. Thank you for everyone who commented and who watched. And for those of you who are going to watch the replay later on today, I appreciate all of you. And I am looking forward to our next episode. We are going to talk trauma in our next episode with Natasha Mullen, who is an expert in the field. So for those of you who joined a little late, I am going to remind you of my special announcement, and then I am going to share the info for next week. And then that is all I have for you today. Thank you again, Mrs. Lavante Dorsey Yates of Lavante Dorsey and Associates. You are an absolutely amazing person, and I'm so glad that we were able to connect.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see you soon. Maybe not for me, but we'll see each other soon. All right. Thank you, Lavante.
Welcome.
Oh, once again, tell everyone where they can find you. And
yes, on Instagram, on Facebook, just as Lavante Dorsey, or at www.lavantedorsey.com.
And you're currently accepting clients?
Yes.
Okay. What insurances do you accept?
I'm trying to think, do we describe? I would say all the major ones in Delaware except TRICARE.
Gotcha. All right. So if you are looking for mental health care, obviously you can go to embracingoak.com and you can request an appointment today. We take Medicaid. We officially take Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. We officially have a licensed person with us today, and she does have some openings. So if you have Highmark and you want to get started with therapy, you can request an appointment today. You can also go to Lavante Dorsey. What's your website again? Say it again.
LavanteDorsey.com.
LavanteDorsey.com. And so you have no reason not to get the help you need because we're both willing to help you today. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night.
You too.
All right. If you missed the announcement, here it is again. Sis, so you're starting to take care of yourself and implementing self-care? I'm so proud of you. What a great first step. Let's kick it up a notch and elevate your self-care. Join my circle. The Self-Care Sound Mind Circle is a paid membership that includes exclusive inspirational content, events, coaching, goal setting, and of course, self-care. Prioritize and invest in your self-care. You won't regret it. When working with me, you can expect to be challenged, encouraged, and empowered. Go to kiaratimore.com and sign up and subscribe to my circle today. All right. Again, kiaratimore.com. This is a accountability partnership so that you are doing everything you need to take care of yourself and to make your self-care a priority. Again, there are 2 levels of memberships, and the first one you will get exclusive content, events, and for the VIP membership, you will get monthly coaching, and this is open to everyone, friends, family, foe. Everyone is invited, and everyone can be a part of this. And so I appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for some announcements for next week. And I will see you in 2 weeks with episode 2 with Natasha Mullen.